And we're back on a Feel Good Friday, mid October, coming to you live from New York. Sports gambling with Moneyline Monaco. Alex Monaco, fired up to be with you off a wonderful week on the program. Always goes a long way if you're cashing with me. Subscribe, rate, review. Appreciate the private messages. But you throw me up on iTunes, Spotify. I mean, at this point, we're throwing you a Johnny Stockton and a verbal mention shout out. Let me know because that always helps. We're still top 10 on iTunes when you type in sports gambling. But as always, we know it's all about what you do next. 4-1, saw the board like I don't have stigmatism last week, and we went with a lot of favorites. And it was an interesting week. The only thing we really walked into that we were truly on the wrong side of was the Dallas Cowboys. And that was a road favorite, tough spot, -3. Rico Dowdle revenge game. He's still running through a wall. I just can't even conceptualize how soft this Dallas Cowboys defense is. Dak's having an all-time year, and they just can't shore it up. But we will have the Dallas Cowboys on the program this week, talking out 5 games. I'd say 4 of them. One of them, it's tough to find 5 games when you have the double header on Monday night. And of course, those are both staring at me. 2 box office matchups. You got the Texans and the Seahawks. You got Baker and the boys headed to Ford Field. Don't forget, Moneyline Monaco is my social. I had the Joe Flacco, almost said Burrow, Bengals +5.5. I throw up pick videos. I throw up on my Action Network picks. That was a double Costanza dip. An odd, rare spot, but we were on the home divisional dog, and we've seen it numerous times already in the short work week. The teams with the points end up being the right side. We've hit 3 straight Thursday night games if you track my picks. But it got up to Steelers +6.5 on a live line, down 10. And I just felt like that game was very much a tennis rally, back and forth, almost basketball themed. So we dipped and we dipped again. So we cashed, if you do follow me on Action Network, Bengals +5.5, Steelers +6.5. Went for a parlay. Everybody seemed to score a touchdown, but Jalen Warren and DK Metcalf last night. I digress. Friday, let's get into it. It's week 7, and let's talk some best bets. Let's head to Southern California, where I am staring directly at a Chargers line off 3 non-covers that I don't like. I absolutely love. And it is anytime a joyous occasion when you can back your favorite team. And this is for good measure. I mean, this is a Chargers team that has not covered in 3 straight games. And why does that matter on a thought like this? Well, Harbaugh has never not covered in 4 straight on an NFL resume. That's right. The Chargers themselves haven't lost on a Brandon Staley, if you remember, running prime time stairs on a losing Monday night once upon a non-Tinseltown San Diego, now LA Chargers day. Even still under the Brandon Staley era, they did not cover 4 straight. You got to go back to 2020 and prior for this Chargers team to have not done this, what we are staring up against, in a -1.5 at SoFi game. Now, unlike Orange Crush, Chiefs red, Raiders silver and black, these teams are both blue. So whether the objects in mirror as they appear, you're still going to see a ton of blue, baby. But it's Daniel Jones and the boys coming to town. And there's a couple ways to look at this game. This is an Indianapolis Colts team that I got to give respect to at 5-1. And I think Daniel Jones got a bad rap in New York where everyone aged like a politician watching this guy. But in all seriousness, he has done well. He was 9 for 9 last week, for goodness sakes, under pressure. But start to say this out loud. And this is the National Football League. Anybody can beat anybody, and no one's great yet, in my opinion. I don't think anybody is great across the board in all 3 phases through 6 work weeks. But Daniel Jones and this Colts team, okay, they have 5 wins, all right? They beat Tua, who apparently is calling out meetings and showing up to him, and then is getting chirped on the bird that he's late to these own player meetings. Mike McDaniel could get LASIK and it wouldn't save them. And their defense, it's just so many holes in the fish in the 305. Where do you begin? But that's a team they picked off. Then the Broncos and Van Wilder give a game away that the Broncos had wrapped up like 3 to 4 times at the Horseshoe. They don't get it done. Then we're watching Daniel Jones beat Cam Ward, okay, rookie. Geno Smith, 65th. The guy leads the league in interceptions with double digits. And then Jacoby Brissett, the journeyman, the Colts certified backup. It was a live pick 'em. If you follow my Action Network, I did punch a Colts ticket at home because I was like, all right, they're going to find a way to win this game. And Jonathan Taylor's been arguably a top 2 running back in this season through a month and a half. But they've played 3 bottom 10 defenses. I mean, 3 bottom 10 defenses in those 5 wins. Meanwhile, you have a Chargers team that's been banged up across the board. I mean, offensive linemen, plural. Starting key defenders. Khalil Mack practicing now this week. Joe Alt practicing. Quentin Johnston could go. So it's twofold. You're sort of selling high off the Colts, even though they didn't cover last week. But they're the number 1 offense in points per game. It's not happening against a tenacious, coached up Harbaugh team that's top 7 right now in yards against, giving up 20 points per game in a top 10 defense. It's a 6th best pass defense. They're serviceable at stopping the run. They were better before they got banged up. But this is, again, a spot where you got to really just say it out loud. Daniel Jones has beaten bottom-feeding football teams through 6 work weeks. You have the coaching disadvantage. You got to give it to Harbaugh, no question, over Steichen. You got the better quarterback with your eyes closed, Herbert over Daniel Jones. Now, it's a very good coached-up Colts team, but this is a whole nother avenue, and there's only been a couple of Costco samples where Danny Dimes leaves the Eastern or Central time zone spot, and I want to always shout out Action Network for great work. In those spots, Daniel Jones is 2-5 against the spread and straight up. Now, Steichen himself is winless when he leaves that time zone. He's failing to cover by 8.5 points per game. Small little note, but just without going outside of myself and just banging my head against the wall, this is a phenomenal spot. It's 1.5 points. It's a dang near pick 'em. And I just think it's a game where you're going to get a buttoned up Chargers game. They have to win this game. This is for playoff seeding against an AFC familiar foe. This is a game that the Chargers just cannot give away. And a little shimmy, how you doing by Herbert in the pocket to McConkey, who ran for a game-winning catch essentially for a field goal, but they don't cover. And that, again, is just a fishy spot, pun intended. You go to 305, you're laying 4.5, pending where you shop when it closed. And it was tough. But this Colts team is going to take a step back. I think it's actually going to be arguably a bit of a defensive dance. I'd probably lean under if there was such another side in this game to play. But 6th best pass defense. Best defense he's faced easily. Best quarterback he's faced. And Steichen will meet his khaki Harbaugh October for Halloween pants. Give me the Chargers at home -1.5. Oh, by the way, as an NFL coach, when the line doesn't move from the opening to the closing, or if the line doesn't move against him, Harbaugh in his NFL career is 31-14-3 against the spread. Let's stay in the AFC West. This is a plug the schnoz. You don't even want to maybe watch the schvitz about this, but this is a long-term historical winner, and you've seen this Raiders team with bubblegum chewing, Bazooka, Pete Carroll, and Geno Smith. They've won 2 games. Believe it or not, they beat the Patriots. Week 1. Well, what happens when Geno Smith only turns the ball over? One interception. They've won. They've won 2 or 3 games where this guy has 1 or less turnovers, at least at the interception thought. But remind ourselves, we cashed a Chiefs ticket at home, primetime spot against the Lions last week. And this whole thing, This whole first 6 weeks has been bobbing and weaving, buying low, selling high. We just did it off the Steelers. We covered for you last week on the program with the Steelers -5.5 against Dylan Gabriel. And then we faded the Mike Tomlin favorite spot because what do you do when it's a home divisional dog? You take the home divisional dog with the points. Well, all right, this is a road divisional dog. It's why the number is so whopping. And you can even get up to plus, excuse me, 12 and a half as it still is on the FanDuel Sportsbook, among others. And we're going to take it. We're going to take the Las Vegas Raiders on the road with 12 and a half against Patty Mahomes and the Chiefs. We have to talk this out. Mahomes is a juggernaut when it comes to winning in these games. But in these spots, double-digit favorites, AFC West against the spread, this is not a winning ticket if you're laying the points on the Chiefs. It is just without saying, and there's trends enough to go all around the betting community without being exhausted about it. We back Mahomes when he's a humble favorite of 3 or less, or he's getting a couple points as a dog. We walked into it with the Jaguars. He threw a pick 6. That often doesn't happen. And we lost that. But we came right back when a lot of people like the Lions, and we went into the Lions' den and we cashed a Chiefs ticket. Now we're going to bob and weave against the Raiders off a win. Here we go. As a favorite, Mahomes of a touchdown or more. He's 13-24-1 against the spread since 2020. As a favorite of 6 points or more. I mean, pretty much the same trend essentially. And in the last 2 seasons for you in the more recent memory, he's 1-7-1 against the spread. And then against the Raiders. To me, as a double-digit favorite here in his career, he's under 500. He's 11-16-2, albeit 26-3. So he wins these games. But in the 26-3 straight up spot, and on that train of thinking, who are those 2 losses? 2 of them are against the John Gruden Raiders. Mahomes versus the AFC West since 2022. Now, Mahomes, outside of teams against the AFC West, he is above sea level. In the AFC West spot here since 2022, he's 4-12-1 against the spread. Excuse me, in his own division. 4-12-1 is the worst for any quarterback in his own division during that span. Do you hear me loud and clear? Now, I talk a lot about turnover differential on the show. All right, Chiefs are coming off a game with no turnovers, no penalties. You couldn't have a more buttoned up week of practice. And when that happens, they're nails. But Geno Smith leads the league in turnovers. Well, guess who, ironically, in this spot, as long as he doesn't turn over the ball, is a profitable quarterback? Geno Smith, of all things. Now, the Chiefs are +4 in turnover differential, and the Raiders are -4. But you got to go back to games at Arrowhead over the last 3 years. And yes, Geno wasn't there, but still worth mentioning. Chiefs win 30-29. Raiders go for a go-ahead 2-point conversion. Chiefs win, Raiders cover. Raiders win 20-14 on Christmas. I'll ruin your Santa Claus cookie morning. And 2024, the Chiefs won 19-17 after a botched field goal with 15 seconds left. This is the last 3 years at Arrowhead. 2-point game, 6-point game, 1-point game. We're getting 12 and a half points. I don't see a boat raced effort. There's always extra ethos, pathos, logos in these matchups of divisional dances. You see each other twice a year, and you know each other. There's players on this Raiders team from last year that have a little bit of experience going against this club. Okay, Rashee Rice is coming back. Does that move the line? This is not the NBA, people. That might move the line maybe half a point. Maybe. This is a Raiders defense that has had a couple of really bad letdown spots. They're not abysmal. They're not unwatchable. They've had some bad luck, and Geno Smith has all of a sudden regressed. This is a simple formula. If Geno and the Raiders don't lose the turnover battle, By more than two, we're covering and cashing. Let's stay on the divisional side of things. Commanders, awful loss. Cowboys, awful loss. What could go right at Jerry's World? Well, flip the Danny Quinn backwards cap on, baby. We're taking the Commanders on a humble road favorite here of -1.5. Another close pick 'em. We have to take the Commanders here. First of all, excuse me, we're getting +1.5. My mistake. We're getting +1.5. This is a line that flipped and has moved throughout the work week. So as we talk on a Feel Good Friday, +1.5, the Washington Commanders. Now, short rest. I'm sure you're thinking that. All right. Well, Jane Daniels and the Commanders, 4 games on short rest off of Monday Night Football and a botch of a snap, and the Bears win. By the way, we were on the Bears +5.5. All 4 of these have come on the road, short work weeks for Jane Daniels Commanders. They've scored 18 or more in all 4 of those games and covered the spread by 11 points per game. Also, awful loss. Jaden Daniels cooks 4-2 against the spread in his career. He's had games of 27, 42, 26, 18, 40, and 21. We have to remind ourselves Dan Quinn was canned and packed in by this Cowboys general management. He doesn't like where he's coming back to. This is the Vrabel at the Titans matchup in a different sense because it's not as fresh, but it's still important to think football is a game of bulletin board material. This is a Commanders team. We have to think like a Commander this week. They lost a game because they botched a snap. Meanwhile, the Cowboys couldn't beat the Panthers. The Panthers are so mediocre. Where do I begin? The Cowboys can't beat the Panthers. What makes you think they should be covering 1.5 points at home against a Jaden Daniels-led team that's getting Terry McLaurin back, that just watched Rico Dowdle run down the gullet, run down the throat of this Cowboys team? And the Commanders don't lose 2 straight. 1 3-game losing streak, no 2-game losing streaks in Jaden Daniels' entire career. Remind yourself they went to the Chargers and beat the Chargers. The game started raining and pouring on Monday night, and it messed up everything. Don't overreact. This is a pick'em game. We have a defense a touchdown better in points per game. The Cowboys are giving up 30 a game with their eyes closed. They don't stop the run. This is a really simple game plan for the Commanders. All they need to do, in my opinion, is manage this football game from a Jaden lens. And yes, the turnover differential, we could sit here because Dak has taken excellent care of the football, and we could overreact. We absolutely could sit here and go, all right, well, this Dallas Cowboys team, they don't do a lot well, and the Washington Commanders are worse at turning the ball over than the Dallas Cowboys. No, it's -2 versus -3 in the turnover differential department. It's just one of the worst defenses I've ever seen. I'm telling you right now, I'm reading this. It's hard to even comprehend this Dallas Cowboys pass defense, worse in the NFL, giving up 270. This Dallas Cowboys rush defense, it's there, but it's still bottom 4, 142, and points per game. Look, I know I talked myself up last week against Carolina. I was wrong. And I do educate you guys on the psychological thinking of gambling. You get a team wrong the previous week, you come in a little hot. But I also took the Bears against the Commanders. We're bobbing and we're dancing and we're putting the bumper lanes on and we're doing our thing. But 30 points per game through 6 weeks, the Cowboys have one way to beat you: outscore you. That's it. There is no other way. Meanwhile, a Commanders team off a pivotal loss know where they are in the hierarchy of the NFC East, and that is top 2. They show it. They prove it. 2 pick'em games virtually. If you want to get cute, lay a little more juice, you could take the Chargers on the money line. You could take the Commanders, but we're getting +1.5. We have to take it. Washington Commanders. Hi, how you doing? This one's a little gross. We are going to Mile High. Pack a lunch. We are taking the New York Football Giants with the 7.5. It's moved down to 7 at some books. I ink 7.5, 7.5. Look, this could be a defensive chess match. All right. The under's gone down in 5 of the last 7 for the Giants. The under has gone down in 7 of the last 8 for the Broncos, both going back to last year. Denver's a 2-5 against the spread team in their last 7 games. This is a team that if you were up watching the London game, you're pulling your fro out. You're pulling every bit of your hair out watching that game. Bo Nix looked so mediocre. That offensive game plan, unless there was an initiative to play not to lose, to play baby back small, I don't know what to tell you. But Aaron Glenn's defense, led by Steve Wilkes, looked serviceable. They haven't looked serviceable all season. That game was the Jets' loss, and the Broncos gifted it. The Broncos are a top 3 defense across the board, and they have excellent offensive line infrastructure. I'm not convinced Bo Nix is that dude. Remind yourself Bo Nix is a journeyman from the SEC up to the PNW. He can rent a car before he went across the stage to hug Goodell. The guy is not even a better quarterback right now than Jackson Dart, in my humble opinion. But we have to remind ourselves, we have Andrew Thomas. Andrew Thomas is going to humble Nick Bonito. Andrew Thomas has 86 blocking snaps, 0 pressures allowed, 0 sacks allowed, 0 quarterback hits. It's extra rest for the G-men from Thursday night. Tickle in my throat, thank you. Extra rest for the G-men on Thursday Night Football. Whereas you have international travel for this Broncos team. So you go from London all the way back to base camp. You got the Giants prepping for the Broncos for 10 games. They're watching that on their couch on Sunday going, what? What? How about a game after winning but not covering in the history of Sean Payton? He's 7-15 against the spread. We're going to need some water, folks. Pardon me. So a game after winning but not covering, 2 losses for every 1 cover for Sean Payton. 7-15 against the spread. I feel like I choked on something, folks. Jackson Dart has been sensational. 167 rushing yards, 65% completion percentage. Good, not great. Goodness, I'm going to have to end this soon. Giants have 110 rushing attempts in 3 games. That's the most in a 3-game span in 2 years. This Jets team is a bottom 5 defense. Bottom 5 defense. That defense for the Broncos against the Jets offense, Justin Fields is still holding on to the ball. He's still 9 sacks. That defense on Fields, 13 for 15 stopping third downs. Jets minus 10 passing yards in that spot. But Jackson Dart is a playmaker. He is shifty. He is a mobile quarterback. And I'm watching this Giants morale, and they are all the way back. And yes, this is about continuity and playing on the road in this spot. You remind yourselves down in New Orleans, 5 turnovers and 5 straight possessions. But please, both these teams are negative in the turnover differential department at -3. All right. This game was 13-11 against the Jets. 13-11. Nobody is going to believe in this Giants team. I think it's a game that goes under. I think it's a game that, look, we just need to cover a touchdown. I'm not saying the Giants are going to go into Mile High and win this game. I'm telling you right now, if Andrew Thomas does his thing, Scattaboo is ready to run through a Mike Allstott wall, and they're at least able to take field goals here and there and maybe go field goal for field goal. I don't even know if it's a backdoor cover type game. I just watched the Broncos, and I'm kind of marveling. Is this just media again? Is this just because Sean Payton's likable? Like, Bo Nix is not very good. I'm sorry. I'm looking at his stats. I've watched this game. This guy's 9 touchdowns, 4 interceptions with a 50 QBR. That's 22nd in our league. He's not even close to top 10 in yards. So this whole idea of them airing it out, this is a very good Giants front seven. Dexter Lawrence, Thibodeau, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter. There are dudes flying around all over. I wouldn't even be that shocked if this game was going down to the wire again. New York Football Giants plus the 7.5. All right. This one I actually like the least. But we're going to San Francisco and we're going to take the favorite. We took the Bucks at home against the Niners. We cashed. We faded the Niners. We're coming back to base camp. We are backing this Niners team. Everything that the Bills, under one of the most overrated coaches I've ever seen, Sean McDermott, Allen's back hurts. Back hurt. Allen has to think about McDermott more than he has to think about Steinfeld. That's how mediocre McDermott is. And that's his nickname I have for you. Mediocre McDermott. B minus body language. That's a defensive dude they got ran through. I mean, Bijan Robinson had a 19 carry, 170 yard, 8.9 rushing per attempt ball game on your noggin, Buffalo. Buffalo has real work to do, but everything that soft defense is in Buffalo right now, it is not the case. And I know you're going to be like, oh, Fred Warner's out, Nick Bosa's out. Who do they even have left? Wouldn't you have said the same thing about the Kyle Shanahan offense over the last few weeks? No Kittle, no Jawan Jennings, no Pearsall, no Purdy. This is scheme, people. This is Shanahan and Saleh are the best in the business at what they do. It always remains to be seen who this Falcons team is. If this is a defensive chess match between Raheem Morris and his boys and Saleh, look, Penix, he's an interesting guy. But Penix on the road right now and this Falcons team, who, by the way, hasn't finished a season above 500 against the spread after a straight-up win since 2019. They're 11-22 against the spread in this spot after a win since 2020. It's the worst mark in the NFL. So you could just sit there and go, all right, short work week, travel across the country, couldn't have looked better. We have to remind ourselves this Falcons team got packed in by the Panthers and blanked 30-0. We have to realize this team against another interesting defense and Brian Flores schemed up Vikings couldn't have looked worse. Jake Matthews hurt his ankle, their best offensive lineman. He's questionable at the moment. To me, without going too much into the numbers, it's a bit of a, all right, Mac Jones, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions in his career in San Francisco. He had 2 picks last week in Tampa. You can't do that with Mac Jones and win the game. But you can be fundamentally sound. You can lean on your best receiver right now, which is C-Mac, and you can go off scheme to give Penix looks and stuff as long as you keep Bijan at bay. Again, I went this game last because I like it the least. Right now, depending where you shop in this game, Niners are -1.5. They've won a game at home by 1, and we've been burned by it. I'm willing to swallow the 1.5. I am on 3 games on 1.5 point lines. We're hoping to go 2-1. But I just need to see it again from the Atlanta Falcons. It's what do you do if everything isn't going according to plan? I mean, Buffalo looked horrendous. And the Falcons are that team, as I told you. Doesn't matter if it's Cousins, Ritter, Mariota, now Penix. They don't string 2 against the spread wins together. They're the worst team in the NFL. So say it out loud. Falcons off a win in the NFC, Niners off a loss, and it may even be Purdy. Purdy was in and out of practice all week. And oh, by the way, cherry on top, they're getting the heart and soul of their team back and George Kittle. I have to do it because if I took the Falcons on the road, I would be upset. Again, a lot of this is what side you want to be on to just feel like, all right, I can go to sleep tonight. Niners lost at home against the Falcons on a short work week, across the country to beat them. Penix was holding his forearm at the end of that game, too, for what it's worth. Look, Saleh is in his wheelhouse over there. Everything he wasn't as a head coach for the Jets, he is for this team. This cannot be stated enough. If this is a chess match, lean better coaching, because I think it is a game that comes down to coaching. I mean, let's just call it what it is. Raheem Morris is an under 500 coach. He's an under 500 coach. And I just don't know who Atlanta is yet. So Atlanta, comfortable, cozy at the crib, versus the softest defense I've ever seen from New York, yada, yada. In conclusion, Chargers -1.5, dancing against the Colts. Danny Nichols back to base camp. We'll take the Commanders +1.5 at Jerry's World. Happy belated. We're going to take the Giants plug the schnoz +7.5 at Denver. We are going to, without hesitation, take the Raiders +12.5. And as you know, we're on the Niners -1.5. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review. Goes a very long way. We will see you on the Moneyline Monaco Insta covering these games all weekend. Don't forget to hug your mothers. Ta-ta real smooth.